Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapadakammalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Sri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki Jai. Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki Jai. Sri Shri Gauranitai ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Samaveda Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki Jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Last week we discussed on the concluding portion of the prayers of Kunti Maharani. And after Kunti Maharani offers her prayers, Krishna enters into the palace of Hastinapur, where he was duly greeted by Yudhishthir Maharaj. Yudhishthir Maharaj was lamenting very much because of the number of casualties that happened during the battlefield or battle of Kurukshetra. Millions of soldiers have been killed, and Yudhishthir Maharaj took the blame upon himself that it was only because of him wanting to ascend the throne did such huge massacre or murder. This is how he called himself the act that he had actually performed leading the war as. So he felt he was the sole cause of killing of so many people. So he was weeping, lamenting inconsolably. This is one great quality of devotees we can see. Normally, in material sense, whenever something goes wrong, you can see this generally even among politicians, could be even in our society, could be at work. Whenever something goes wrong, everyone will be very quick at pointing fingers at others, that others are the cause. Whereas spiritual personalities, they are always very humble. They always feel that they are the most unqualified and they are the ones who has been the cause of any shortcoming that happens in their presence. Once Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he performs kirtan in Srivas Thakur's home. And at that time there was a brahmachari who wanted to participate in the Prema Sankirtan, which was usually reserved only for the close associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and one is allowed to participate in such kirtan only based on invite. Because he expressed his ardent desire to participate in it at least once, he was made to come in, but then hide under a basket so that nobody could actually see him. He can still feel the presence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and also participate in the kirtan. So, as with every day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or every evening Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrives at their place, kirtan gets started, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu starts to dance, and few minutes into the kirtan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gestures everyone to stop, and he says, I'm not feeling the same ecstasy because someone who is here, who is not supposed to, somehow they are hiding here. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, when he says, I'm not feeling the same ecstasy I'm feeling every day, and he says, what could be the reason? Shastras say every personality who were around in that home of Srivas Thakur, known as Srivas Angan, they felt, I'm the cause. it was because of my presence, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu isn't able to feel the ecstasy. Maybe I should go out. So this is a glorious quality of a devotee. They take responsibility. They don't play victim. They take responsibility for everything that happens. And in real life scenarios also, we can see many times we face challenges, we face reversals. When we go offer our prayers to Radha Gopinath, we need to first take responsibility for our misdeeds, for our shortcomings, for our mistakes. The moment we take responsibility, help will come instantly from Krishna right at that moment. To the extent that we postpone, play the blame game upon others, or play victim card, always we are the ones who are the victims and whole world is actually ganging up against us. If we take such a dishonest stance all the time, because once it may happen, twice it may happen. We can't have our whole life based on singing from that hymn sheet. It's not going to work. So as long as we put the blame on others, we won't get any help. In fact, Krishna will send help, but we won't be in a position to accept that help. On the other hand, the moment when we take responsibility, it is right at that moment Krishna will give us the understanding, Krishna will send us the help, and he will allow us to take his shelter as well. So it's very, very important that we learn this lesson from the lives of all the pure devotees. This is the mood of all the pure devotees, that they always feel they are the most unqualified. We have been discussing about spiritual intelligence in few classes in Sydney in the last couple of weeks. Spiritually, somebody, if they are intelligent, they know maintaining humility is the best possible position to be in, wherein they can be happy physically, they can be happy mentally, they can be happy materially, as well as spiritually. And being humble and performing service with that mood of humility is what that's going to guarantee the Supreme Lord will be pleased with us. If we throw away the mood, then whatever we offer to the Supreme Lord, it won't be palatable for him. One of the names of the Supreme Lord is Garbhaganjan, which means one who is allergic to pride, one who doesn't have any tolerance to pride at all. Normally, Supreme Lord is very forgiving, he is very tolerant, but when he sees pride, even in his devotees, he'll immediately come and crush it. Why? Because Supreme Lord knows that if he allows the devotees to go on that ego trip, they are eventually going to fall at some point of time, and Supreme Lord, taking full ownership for his devotees, never allows such a thing to happen. Instead, he nips the problem in the bud itself. So it's very important that we consciously remain humble, because we don't have anything to be proud of anyway. We are in material world. Material world means we are all fallen souls from spiritual planet. So there is nothing here to be proud of, and there is nothing here that we own. Even our power to see is borrowed. If you take the light source away, there is no sun, there is no other source of light, we can't even see our own body, let alone looking at anything else. So our power is very, very limited. It's actually borrowed, be it gross power, be it subtle power, intelligence. We don't know anything. Right from ABC, we are taught by our teachers, by our parents, by our mothers, by our fathers. So many things we have learned only from others. There is nothing that we produced on our own. So it's extremely important that we maintain this mood of humility for our own good. So here Yudhishthir Maharaj, when he couldn't be consoled, why is Yudhishthir Maharaj not being able to console? Because Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, he didn't want him to be convinced. Krishna seated within the heart of Yudhishthir Maharaj, he was not allowing Yudhishthir Maharaj to be convinced here that the war was actually happened not because of him, it happened because of the will of the Lord. He didn't, because he allowed also Vyasadeva to come and try convincing Yudhishthir Maharaj. Even the group of sages headed by Vyasadeva, their attempt went in vain as well. Why wasn't Supreme Lord or Vyasadeva or even any of the other sages weren't able to convince Yudhishthir Maharaj? Sutta Goswami says Krishna is Adbhuta Karmana, one who has always done wonderful activities. Here Krishna is not allowing Yudhishthira Maharaj to be convinced, because he wants to take this opportunity to give credit to and glorify one other exalted devotee of his, which is Bhishmadeva. So that's the link between the 8th and the 9th chapter. So the 9th chapter is titled The Passing Away of Bhishmadeva in the Presence of Lord Krishna. Now, because Yudhishthira Maharaj is still not convinced, he is still lamenting inconsolably, then Krishna, along with the other sages, they advise Yudhishthira Maharaj that we go and seek the advice of Bhishmadeva, who is lying on a bed of arrow on the battlefield. So this is how this chapter 1.9 starts. So Yudhishthira Maharaj comes flanked by his brothers, Pandava brothers. Krishna is there. All great personalities are there as well. They come accompanied by, the Pandavas come there accompanied by all the family priests and everything, headed by Daumya. Krishna is there, Arjuna is there, Nakul, Bhim, Sahadev, all the Pandavas are also there. Initially when they come, they offer their respects to Bhishmadeva, who is lying down there resembling a demigod fallen from the sky. Even literally speaking, he was a demigod. In his previous life, he was one of the Vasus. He actually came from the spiritual place. And here is a list of all the sages who also came at the same location to greet and offer their respects to Bhishmadeva. And you will see similar kind of etiquette being followed when Parikshit Maharaj, when he was cursed by the Shringi Brahmana to die on the 7th day from the day of curse. As soon as this news goes to different parts of the universe, great personalities from different parts of the universe, they assemble in one place, at the place where Parikshit Maharaj chose to leave his body. Because they know Parikshit Maharaj was not an ordinary personality. His life is very exemplary. There are many things one can learn from the life of Parikshit Maharaj, how to live. There are many things one can also learn, witnessing how Parikshit Maharaj is also going to die. So he set a standard for everyone to follow. Prabhupada writes in many places, even though Parikshit Maharaj was a Grahastha, he was still very, very exalted. Almost as exalted as Shukadeva Goswami. So in Chaitanya Leela also, there is one pastime that is given when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to meet Advaita Acharya. And at that time, devotees glorify Advaita Acharya. One devotee glorifies, if I am not wrong, it's Srivas Thakur, who glorifies Advaita Acharya in presence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, saying, Advaita Acharya is such a great, exalted personality. When he recites Srimad Bhagavatam, he sounds as if Shukadeva Goswami is speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu learns about it, he picks up the stick and chases after the devotee. Normally we may think if somebody is being compared with Shukadeva Goswami, then we feel it is an indirect way or indirect insult for Shukadeva Goswami. But in this instance, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he is chasing with the stick, he says, Advaita Acharya is none other than Supreme Lord himself. Compared to Advaita Acharya, Shukadeva Goswami was just a small boy. How can you compare Advaita Acharya with Shukadeva Goswami? So this is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu shows his anger. So you will see the comparisons that are actually given with these great personalities. Advaita Acharya was a Grahastha, but Shukadeva Goswami was a sannyasi. He didn't even go through purificatory rituals. We saw that in the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam itself, or first chapter of first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam itself. How when he was born, he just left the home and he went to the forest straight away, only to be followed by his father Vyasadeva, who is calling, Hey Putra, oh my dear son. And in response to that, it's given he could hear only the echoing of his words from the trees who also lamented with him. So there's a poignant description of that scene that's given in the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So here we see that when Bhishmadeva is about to leave, all these great personalities, following the same etiquette, which they will later on for Parikshit Maharaj as well, they come assembling there because they know Krishna is going to be there and Bhishmadeva is not an ordinary personality. Prahlada, Janaka, Bhishma, he is one of the 12 Mahajanas. So they all come there, and here is a list of all sages that are mentioned, who were present there. All the sages like Parvata Muni, Narada, Daumya, Vyasa, Brihadashva, Bharadwaja, Parashuram, and disciples Vashishta, Indra Pramada, Trita, Gritsamada, Asita, Kakshivan, Gautama, Atri, Kaushika, and Sudarshana were present. Many Saptarishis are also present. Bhishmadeva was such an exalted personality. And many others like Shukadev Goswami. Shukadev Goswami also participated in Krishna Leela. Prior to his birth, Krishna himself comes and tells Shukadev Goswami, even when he is in the womb of his mother. Krishna comes, Shukadev Goswami, by then he was already self-realized, he sees no point in taking birth, so he chooses to be within the womb of his mother for so many years. So it's not practical for the mother to carry because he is also growing. How long can the mother carry? So Krishna had to come there and promise Shukadev Goswami that you please come out. I give you immunity from Maya. Maya won't actually touch you, even to the slightest tinge. Then Shukadev Goswami, after getting assurance, he comes out. But you will find, if you see the pastime of Krishna traveling to Mithila, where he actually meets his devotees, you will find Shukadev Goswami accompanying him as well there. But here we see, and many others, including Shukadev Goswami. Shukadev Goswami also, we have to understand the position of Bhishmadeva. Even Shukadev Goswami had come, at that point also, he was in the presence of Krishna as well. In fact, the description of his body, if you see, because of his meditation on Krishna, his body almost resembled like Krishna. Similar description is given for Uddhava as well. His body has also got darkish blue, dark bluish rather, complexion. Shukadev Goswami's complexion is also given like that because of his constant meditation on Krishna. So here, and many others like Shukadev Goswami and other purified souls like Kashyapa and Angirasha and others, all accompanied by their respective disciples, arrived there. So it was a huge conglomeration of many great souls along with their disciples. Text number 9. Bhishmadev, even though he is lying on a bed of arrow, he still showed perfect etiquette of a host. It is said in Vedic times, once Prabhupada conducts the marriage of two of his disciples, and they asked Prabhupada, so Prabhupada, what is our duty now? And in their own words, they said that they were expecting Prabhupada to give something very detailed, very deep, profound instructions. But Prabhupada gave a very simple instruction to them. He said, now that you are married, the first grahastha duty is, before you take every meal, you have to go out of your home, outside your home, and ask out loud, is there anyone here who is hungry? Is there anyone here who is hungry? Is there anyone here who is hungry? Like that 3 times. And then Prabhupada says, if somebody is hungry, you have to serve them and then only you can take. If nobody is hungry, you can just go and have your meal. Because giving charity is given as one of the prime duties of Grahastha Ashrama. Krishna speaks about it. We are in the process of rebuilding our temple. And you will find our congregation, they are extremely generous and they have been coming forward and they are donating it, charity, for the cause of building a new home for Sri Radha Gopinath. So in this way, we can see that the first duty of a Grahastha is to give something to others. Prabhupada says of the 4 Varna and Ashrama, Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. Of the 4 ashrama, only Grahastha, they work. The other 3 ashramas, people whoever they are, they won't actually work being in that. And because of that, it is the duty of the Grahasthas to maintain the other 3 ashramas. Prabhupada would always say that. So here, Bhishmadev, he lies down, even though he is not in a position to go offer some food, offer water, wash their feet. This is what Bhishmadeva would have normally done. He would have welcomed them, offered them a nice seat, he would have panned them, he would have sprinkled fragrant water filled with some fragrant flowers. He would have sprinkled scented water upon all the guests. He would have offered them nice prasad to eat. He would have arranged for some nice entertainment for them. He would have sat and spoken nice words. So in Vedic etiquette it's given, if somebody visits your home, one should first welcome them, offering a nice seat. And then one should offer them some water. One should offer the guests some nice food. One should offer also sweet words. Atiti Devo Bhava, it's given. Whenever any guest comes, one should treat such a guest as Devo, as a demigod. So, Atiti Devo Bhava, as if God has visited you, this is how one is supposed to greet and welcome them. Now, Atiti means uninvited guest. It's not somebody sends you SMS prayer hand and then when they come, of course we'll take care of them nicely. But as the Vedic instruction goes, it's not just applicable for somebody who is invited, who you have already been premeditating. Yes, this person is going to come today, I have to welcome them like that. No, Vedic injunction is, it's not limited only to this, it's specifically given for Atiti. Titi means like no time, Atiti means no time, which means they can come at any time. Uninvited guests. So this is the duty. Now here Bhishmadeva, he is lying down. He cannot offer food because he himself can't move. He cannot wash their feet. He cannot offer any articles of worship. He cannot offer food. He cannot offer anything to drink. But one thing he can do, which is offering sweet words. And that's exactly what Bhishmadeva did. He also offered sweet words depending on the stature of each one of them, depending on the time and place it's given. So we can see right until the end, Bhishmadeva is following the etiquette. Recently I was discussing about the mood of practicing bhakti from the life of Dhruva Maharaj with the youth. Dhruva Maharaj, he sees the Supreme Lord when he was young. When he was 5 years old, he saw the Supreme Lord and he knew his planet is waiting. He has already been awarded Pole Star. And he can go anytime. But Vishnu awards him, no, you rule this planet and then later on you can come and live with me. It's a spiritual planet. So Dhruva Maharaj's future is already guaranteed. Irrespective of whatever he does in his life, his future is guaranteed. So Dhruva Maharaj, time rolls by, he rules the planet for hundreds of years, and one fine morning when he wakes up, he sees Vaikuntha plane right at his doorstep. He just opens the door, it's right there. And the Vishnu Dudas are there waiting, offering pranams to him with a smiling face, greeting him, gesturing, that the vehicle is ready at his beck and call. Dhruva Maharaj, he wakes up, does his morning duties, finishes his chanting, finishes his morning worship, finishes his going and offering respects to all his teachers and the devotees whose association he has been taking for so many years. Finally, he comes close to the airplane. He was greeted by Death personified who bows down in front of him. Dhruva Maharaj places his lotus feet on the back of the Death personified and then he jumps on board. Normally, if any one of us are in Dhruva Maharaj's position, we would think, thank God, the Vaikuntha plane is already here. I don't need to chant my rounds today. I don't need to do any more extra austerity. The fruits of all my austerity is already here. This is what we tend to think. But Dhruva Maharaj here, he exemplifies that irrespective of one's position, Dhruva Maharaj's position has always been, he is a Vaikunthavasi, even in material world. Says who? Supreme Lord himself. Prishnigarbha, when he comes, he awards him that your planet is waiting, it's my planet, I'll give you, because you desired something even higher than, something greater than that possessed by even your great-grandfather, which is Lord Brahma. I'll give you something even greater than that. So Dhruva Maharaj here, he exemplifies that even in a position when one's future is guaranteed, one's ticket back to Godhead is literally reserved, still he follows the etiquette. So here Bhishmadeva, he offers respects to all the guests, and then he shifts his attention to the Supreme Lord, Lord Sri Krishna, and he glorifies him. We'll see his glorification later, but he glorifies him in full knowledge. And then he looks at the Pandavas. Pandavas who he has been protecting. Pandavas who always looked up to him as their role model. He looks at them. The Pandavas, they were all seated nearby to Bhishmadeva. We can see nice artwork also of Bhishmadeva lying on the bed of arrows. Lord Krishna would be there, Shiva would be there, and you'll also see Pandavas sitting right next to Bhishmadeva, but their head bowed in silence, because Pandavas, they are lamenting for the death of all their relatives, but especially in this instance, for what Bhishmadeva is going through, because they are the reason why, at least they felt they are the reason why Bhishmadeva is suffering. But actually Bhishmadeva himself would say, well, it's just plan of Krishna. But they feel, true to their position as the pure devotees of the Lord, they sit right next to Bhishmadeva, their head bowed in silence, and they are silently lamenting. So this is the background of this section of Bhishmadeva passing away. And now Bhishmadeva is starting to give his prayers as well as his instructions. So Bhishmadeva, when he looks at the Pandavas, his heart gets overwhelmed with grief and sympathy for them. Why? Because he has seen them. He has been there since Vichitra Virya's time. He saw Pandu. He is the one who organized the marriage also of all of them. Pandu has died. And these boys, they lost their father right when they are very young. They were born in the forest. All 5 of them, they were born in the forest. When Pandu takes his 2 wives, Queen Kunti and Madri, to the forest, all these 5 boys, 5 Pandavas, they were born in the forest. But then when they were very young, Pandu dies. In fact, if you read that section of Mahabharata, when Pandu dies on the lap of Madri. Madri lets out a wail, crying, letting out a grief. Kunti Maharani, Kunti, who is there nearby in a small hut, she comes running, hearing something unfortunate has really happened. And when Kunti Maharani comes running, at that time Madri gestures to Kunti Maharani to not let any of the boys come closer. She gestures even during that. It's a very painful scene. Then Kunti Maharani gets all the boys back in the hut. She alone comes. So this is the position, or this is the situation, how they lost their father. And when he thinks about them, what all they have actually gone through, right from when they were a child, they lost their father. Later on, when they come to Hastinapur, because of the evil schemes of Dhritarashtra and his sons, especially Duryodhan, they have been put into so many tribulations. So he, remembering all of that, his heart overwhelmed with sympathy for all of them. He says, Aho kashtam. Oh, how much difficulty did you face? Aho kashtam, aho anyayam. Nyaya means justice. Anyaya means injustice. Oh, how much injustice you have faced. This is his greeting words. When somebody wins a match or achieves something great, and if they are near and dear ones, we would say, wow, how wonderful your achievement is. Like that, the Pandavas, they have won the war. They have killed so many, they have come out successful. But from the eyes of Bhishmadeva, they are still his own little kids who were relatives, who were sons of Pandu. So he looks at them and he is like their grandsire, like their grandfather. Even though they're all grown up, even though they all had their sons, also grown up sons who fought in the war as well, in his eyes, he sees them as tiny little kids only. So he says, Aho kashtam, aho anyayam, yadyuyam dharmanandana. Why did you have to go through all of this kashtam and anyayam? Why did you have to go through all of this difficulty and injustice? Yadyuyam dharmanandanaha. Simply because you were walking on the path of dharma. Walking on the path of dharma is not easy in material world. Pandavas exemplified how one should have unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord and one should still hold on to the path of dharma. Everyone, Yudhishthir Maharaj, Bhima, Arjuna, they never digress from the path of justice. Aho kashtam, aho anyayam, yadyuyam dharmanandanaha. Jivitam na arhata klishtam. Vipra dharma achyutashraya. He says, Aho kashtam, aho anyayam, yadyuyam dharmanandana. How much difficulties you have faced, how much injustice you have faced, for the simple reason you walked on the path of dharma. Jivitam na arhata klishtam. If I think about the difficulties you all have gone through, you simply don't deserve to live. Which means they have literally walked in fire for their whole life. Anyone who would have gone through that would rather be desiring to die than to live and go through those difficulties. This is what it means. You can understand the pain in his words, in Bhishmadeva's words, and these words will also help us to fathom the unparalleled level of tolerance of the Pandavas. Normally we talk about tolerance when there is some difficulty, tolerate. Okay, when the weather is bad, please tolerate. What other choice do we have anyway? We cannot change the weather. So we have to tolerate only. And we think if we can tolerate, it's such a great achievement. Now let's take a step back and understand what Pandavas went through. Arjuna alone could have wiped out the entire clan of Kauravas single-handedly when he was much younger. But he chooses to be on the path of dharma. Yudhishthir Maharaj, he didn't even have to. Many places you will see Draupadi, when she glorifies Yudhishthir Maharaj, she would say that this king, he is so pious, simply if he desires something bad, it will happen for the enemies like that. So much they could have done. Bhima could have done. Nakul, Sahadev, each one of them, they were capable of wiping out the opponents, but they still choose to walk on the path of dharma. This is where the love for the Supreme Lord will be tested. Not when we are in a helpless situation where the only choice that we have is to be tolerant, is to tolerate it. That is okay. But Pandavas are not incapable people. They were fully capable. Each one of them alone, single-handedly could have wiped out the whole Kauravas. But they still choose to be on the path of dharma. So this is what Bhishmadeva is saying. Aho kashtam, aho anyayam, yadyuyam dharmanandana. Their only crime, only mistake was they walked on the path of dharma. Then he says, jivitam, na arhata. Even in Tamil we have a similar word. Arhata means you don't deserve. Jivitam na arhata means you don't deserve to live after going through all the difficulties. Meaning each difficulty which came on their path is capable of completely destroying the Pandavas, all 5 of them. And he says, yet you stayed alive. How? Because of your complete shelter on 3 things. And then he lists Vipra. You took the shelter of Vipras, which is Brahmanas. Dharma. You took the shelter of Dharma. Achyuta. You took shelter of Krishna himself. Vipra, Dharma, Achyuta, Ashraya. Ashraya means shelter. Even though you didn't deserve to live. Jivitam narhata klishtam. With such difficulty, you don't deserve to live. You would have preferred to even die. Anyone in your position would have preferred to die. Now, many times you will see people commit suicide, thinking, this is just too difficult, let me die. Okay, after you die, what happens? It is based on the biggest gamble, which is always wrong. And that is, everyone thinks if I go through so much difficulty, if I commit suicide, then something good is happening. This is the biggest wrong assumption. But according to Shastra, whoever commits suicide, they'll only be ghosts. They'll have hunger, they'll have thirst, they'll have lust, they'll have anger, greed, everything. Only problem is they won't have a body. And that's a big issue. Which means even to drink water, they need to go disturb other people, possess their body, enter into their body. And then they can fulfill the desire. But if the person actually does chant some mantras, some way they actually evict the ghost from within the body, that ghost has to again go searching for food again. It's a very pathetic position to be in, worse than somebody who is sentenced for rest of his life in jail. At least here you have the body. So suicide was not at all recommended in the Shastras. In fact, whoever commits suicide, what's awaiting for them is something so much more painful and worse. So here he says that even though anyone in that position wouldn't have desired, you survived only because of these three personalities. Vipra, Dharma, Achyuta, Ashraya. You took shelter. And then he remembers Kunti Devi. After remembering Pandavas, Kunti Devi is his daughter-in-law. And he says, Kunti, how much she went through trouble. When Pandu was dead, it was the turn of Kunti to enter into Sati, to enter into the funeral pyre. And then she was supposed to embrace her husband into the higher planetary system. But Madri pleads, because Madri says, I am the cause of our husband's death. So I have to live with, if I'm alive, I have to live with guilt for having caused the death of our husband. And that's going to cause me pain. She says that's point number one. Point number two, she says, is my two sons, Nakul and Sahadev, they are more attached to you than to me. So she says, in both the ways, I will suffer, my sons will also suffer if you go along with her husband. So she begs Kunti Maharani to allow her to enter into Sati. Kunti Maharani, she does the sacrifice allowing her. Even though Kunti Maharani knows now she has to live as a widow with all the kids, even though she has the right to actually go and embrace her husband at death, she sacrifices that, thereby relieving Madri of the guilt and to protect her two sons also. Bhishmadeva is remembering that. And Bhishmadeva says she had to go through so much trouble when you all were young. But then one would think after they are grown up, everything will be fine. No. After they are grown up, they are still sticking to the path of virtue. Because of that, they have to suffer. Their mother also had to suffer. So again, Bhishmadeva, remembering Kunti Maharani, he cries. When all the boys were young, she had to struggle. When all the boys are grown up, because of the severe injustice that's been imparted on them by the greedy Kauravas, again Kunti Maharani has to go through trouble. How much your whole family has gone through. Remembering this, Bhishmadeva cries. And then he says, how is this possible? It's practically impossible for somebody who went on the path of Dharma to go through so much difficulty. It's like unparalleled. Whenever we think about somebody having to go through difficulty, so much difficulty, injustice, we can never come across something which the Pandavas have gone through, even if you look at Puranic stories. And the most important detail in all of this is they could have averted. If only one of them picked up their arms, they could have vanquished the enemies at every instance. Bhishmadeva could have killed all the Kauravas even when they attempted to kill him by poison. By then he had acquired the strength of 10,000 elephants. Even when he was a small boy in Gurukul, 5 years old. Single-handedly he could have killed all of them. No, even though they know that they have already attempted to kill him, Yudhishthira Maharaj asks him and all the Pandavas, Yudhishthira Maharaj also knew. But Yudhishthira Maharaj was very shrewd. He says, we are all very young. Now they have already attempted one way. We are safe only as long as they don't suspect that we know about their plans. Many times we think being humble means being foolish. No, here Yudhishthira Maharaj, we can see Yudhishthira Maharaj is humble but intelligent. This is how he calculates. If you read Mahabharata, he says there that we are safe only as long as they don't suspect that we understood about their evil schemes. And then he asks everyone to keep quiet. So Bhishmadeva, lying on the bed of arrows, he remembers all this. Pandavas went through so much difficulty. Kunti Maharani went through so much difficulty. And then he gives his verdict. How could this have been possible? With so much power, Bhima is there, he can wield his club. Arjuna is there. Dharmaraj is there. They even had Krishna as their friend also. How is this possible? And then he is giving his verdict, Sarva kalam idam manye. He says, I think it is all due to the Sarva kalam idam manye. It is only due to the inevitable time. It's only due to the inevitable time. Bhavatam chayad apriyam. You went through such a life of injustice. You went through such an experience of injustice. Apriyam means detestable. Something which is worthy to be hated. The kind of pain they had to go through. Seeing their dear wife attempted to be stripped naked in public and they couldn't do anything about it. How much painful it must be. They are Kshatriyas, powerful Kshatriyas, born of demigods. They had all the powers with them. And even Shastra's support such an act wherein one can breach also. Still they stick to the path of Dharma. Sarva kalam idam manye bhavatam chayad apriyam. It's only, he says, manya means, according to me, in my opinion, it is all due to the effect of inevitable time. Sapalo yad vashe loko. This time affects not only humans, it affects all the other planetary systems, including the rulers of them. Sapalo means the rulers of them. Yad vashe loko. The time brings everyone under its vasha, under its control. And then he gives an analogy, an example. Vayoriva ganavali. Just like how Gana means cloud. Avali means line or row of cloud. Just like we say Deepavali. Deepa means lamps. Deepavali means row of lamps. That's what it literally means. We celebrate Deepavali. So it's a row of lamps. Likewise, Ganavali means, Gana means cloud. Avali means line or a row. Vayoriva ganavali means just like how when Vayu or the wind comes, it blows away. It fully puts cloud under its control. Cloud has got no basis on its own. It has got no grounding at all. When wind comes, it blows away and then it goes to floating. Wind determines whether cloud should be together or it should go withering away. Like that, he says, Sarva kalam idam manye bhavatam chayad apriyam. Sapalo yad vashe loko vayoriva ganavali. He says, just like how the wind comes and blows away the row of clouds, similarly, it is only due to the effect of inevitable time has all this bad things happen to you. Otherwise, it's practically impossible. Each one of you stick to path of Dharma. Technically, Dharma rakshati rakshata. One who protects Dharma, Dharma is supposed to protect them back. But it looks like nothing happened here. How is this possible? So he's saying it's only due to the effect of time. And he says, this influence of time can never be surpassed by anyone. Because the Pandavas had all the resources in their hand. We have Dharma in their hand, Dharmaraj is there, Arjuna with powerful Gandiva, he had there, Bhima with this powerful club, he was there, Krishna is their supreme friend, he was there. still the effect of inevitable time couldn't be surpassed. And he says, does that mean time is more powerful than Krishna? How can it happen even in the presence of Krishna? If you take Krishna out of the equation, we can understand, okay, there may be some karma, there may be some influence of time, but Pandavas are pure devotees of the Lord. How can time even influence them? Time influences only which is material. Spiritual personalities, it doesn't touch. But how can it be happening for even Pandavas who are pure devotees, who desire nothing but the association of the Lord, who desire nothing but the pleasure of the Lord? Then Bhishmadeva turns his attention towards Krishna and he says, actually, you know what? It's not really due to time, it's because of him. And then he says, Nahi asya karhichit rajan. He tells to Yudhishthir Maharaj, no one has understood about the plan of this Supreme Lord. He says, Nahi asya karhichit rajan puman veda viditsitam. There are people who are very learned. There are people who are very inquisitive also. He uses the word yed vigyashya yukta. That refers to people who are very seriously inquisitive. Nahi asya karhichit rajan puman veda viditsitam yed vigyashaya yukta muyyanti kavayopihi. There are great people who analyze things, who study things, who try to understand things. They may be great kavis. Kavis means expert. They may be seriously inquisitive. Still, because of him, Supreme Lord Krishna, muhyanti, he says, they are put into illusion. They are still bewildered. Despite having so much knowledge, despite being expert, and despite being seriously inquisitive, they are still bewildered. So it's not because of the influence of time did the Pandavas and Kunti Maharani went through whatever they went through, but it was because of his plan. Then he points at Krishna. And now after greeting the Pandavas, remembering about the pain which they went through, after remembering what Kunti Maharani went through, now he turns towards Krishna and he offers a series of prayers. Prior to offering this, he says it's because of him everything happened and we are all his servants, so simply accept his plan and obey it, which means accept whatever that had happened in your life and then move on with it. Many times when negative things happen in our life, when reversals happen in our life, at that time we try to first blame other people or blame some situation. If nothing is there, we lose interest and we completely give up, making our life totally dysfunctional. But here, if you see the instructions of Bhishmadeva, Pandavas had every reason to doubt law of karma, to doubt dharma, to abandon the path of virtue, and to just resolve everything by the power of arms. They had every reason to do. And they are Kshatriyas, mind you, they are not ordinary Brahmanas. Even this is the situation which Pandavas went through. Even if somebody who is a Brahmana went through that, they would have pronounced curse at least. If you see the time when the gambling match finishes, they lose everything, and as they actually come out, each one, they went out their anger in different ways. Arjuna covers his head, he takes like a handful of sand and he starts to throw like grain. And then signifying that I will seek vengeance for what you have actually done to us. And when I actually start to wield my Gandiva, your heads will roll and you can't even count how many heads there will be, as you can't count these grains which I'm throwing. Like that, each one of the Pandavas, they express their disappointment and they express what they actually want to do in future. So here, if you see, the Supreme Lord, he put them through so much, they still didn't move away even an inch from the path of virtue. That's what makes Pandavas so glorious. So here we see, after telling this is only because of Krishna, Bhishmadeva is along with the Pandavas. Even Bhishmadeva, he didn't deserve. Everyone goes to take a bath in Mother Ganga to purify. Now Bhishmadeva is son of Mother Ganga. What could be impure in him? Impossible. But he has to go through whatever that he had to. So Bhishmadeva, he tells them, we have to simply accept everything as a plan of Krishna and simply obey. So when negative things, reversals happen in our life, we are very quick to blame others. We are very quick to play victimhood. But pure devotees of the Lord, they first try to understand, why is this happening to me? And then they accept, okay, this is will of the Lord. And they accept whatever that pleases the Lord, this is dharma. They just accept and they move on. And this is the advice which Bhishmadeva is giving to the Pandavas here as a group. And now he'll start to speak to Yudhishthir Maharaj one-to-one. But prior to that, he now addresses the Supreme Lord who is present there. So he is starting to glorify the position of Krishna. He says, Yeshavai Bhagavan Sakshad. He tells to everyone, the personality who is standing here, don't be bewildered that he is a Vrishni. Don't be bewildered. He is your messenger. He is telling to the Pandavas. Don't be bewildered that he is your friend, cousin, family man, Yadu. Yeshavai Bhagavan Sakshad. He is Supreme Lord Bhagavan himself. Adyo Narayana Puman. He is not only Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord Narayana, who everyone worship, Adyo Narayana Bhagavan. He is the origin of all the Narayana. We see Brahma Vimohan Leela. Krishna expands himself as different gopas, and after a year, when Brahma comes, which is a moment for him, when he comes and sees, he sees Narayana coming out of different gopa and everyone coming and entering into the body of Krishna. So that we can see how Krishna is the origin of all the Narayanas as well. Yeshavai Bhagavan Sakshad. Adyo Narayana Puman. He is not just a Narayana, he is the origin of Narayana. And then he says, Mohan Mayaya Lokam. It is because of his desire, everything happens, he puts everyone under illusion. And he says, Gudas Charati Vrishnishu. It's this same personality who is just acting as if he is one of Vrishni and is still secretly performing whatever that's happening around us. So all along Bhishmadeva knew about the position of Krishna. Nevertheless, Bhishmadeva is related to Krishna. He has a certain relationship with Krishna. We'll come to that later. But despite knowing the position of Krishna, Bhishmadeva is still staying with the Kauravas because he knew this is plan of Krishna. Just like Pandavas, Bhishmadeva had every reason to stop the war. He had every reason to slightly go away from dharma and stick to that. No, both the Pandavas, how much ever they were strict, Bhishmadeva was also strict. Krishna showed favor to Arjuna. Krishna in many ways showed favor, greater favor to Bhishma also. Because when Krishna was driving the chariot, Arjuna could only see the back of Krishna. But Bhishmadeva, who was related to Krishna in Viraras, in spiritual world, primarily it's Dasya. He is still a servant, but a servant who would sometimes come upon the order of the master to come and fight with him. This is the position of Bhishmadeva. In spiritual world, he is a servant of Krishna, but sometimes Krishna would call him, all right, come on, let's fight. I want to fight with someone. Come. This is his Swarupa. Now, because of this Swarupa, Krishna showed him even a greater favor than what he showed for Arjuna. Arjuna could see only the back of Krishna, but Krishna driving the chariot, the famous photo of Krishna driving the chariot, riding, controlling his horses, and Arjuna either with the conch or with the Gandiva. We see on the cover of Bhagavad Gita, that's the vision which Bhishmadeva could see. But that's a vision Arjuna could never see, because Arjuna is part of the picture. So here he says, Yesho vai Bhagavan Sakshad. He says, oh everyone, look at him. He is not ordinary person. Yesho vai Bhagavan Sakshad. He is the Supreme Lord. Adyo Narayana Puman. He is the origin of Narayana. Muhyam Mayaya Lokam. He puts everyone under illusion. Gudas Charati Vrishnishu. But he is sneaking in and out as if he is just one of the Vrishnis. Don't get bewildered by that. And then he says, Lord Shiva, Narada, and even Kapiladev, he specifically mentions, they know about Krishna, they know about activities, but his intentions are not known even to them. He says even Narada Muni, Shiva, even Kapiladev, who is incarnation of the Supreme Lord, even they don't know about the intentions of Krishna. Nobody can understand about Krishna. Srila Rupa Goswami, when he writes about the position of Krishna, he says, Sadgunadi Kartatvam Brahma Rudradi Mohanam Bhakta Prarabdha Vidvamsam. Sadgunadi Kartatvam means Krishna doesn't deal with material energy at all. Vishnu deals, sometimes indirectly. He is pure, but he still manages. As one of the Gunavatars, he maintains this material world. Even though not directly. He still has his agents, but he still maintains. Krishna, nothing. Krishna only deals with spiritual energy. Krishna doesn't deal with material world at all. That's his first quality, he says. Second quality, which is interesting, which is relevant to this, is Brahma Rudradi Mohanam. He puts Lord Shiva under illusion when he came as Mohini Murti. He put Shiva under illusion. Brahma, Rudra, Adi, Mohanam means he puts, Mohanam means to bewilder, to captivate. Brahma, Rudra, Adi means he captivates, puts personalities under illusion. That includes Brahma, Rudra is Shiva, Adi means and all other personalities, literally, which means everyone. Including even Balaram, he puts under illusion. For one whole year, Balaram couldn't understand Brahma Vimohan Lila. Balaram also thought every Gopa was just normal Gopa. Until Krishna reveals. After 1 year, he puts even Balaram under illusion. What to speak of anyone else? Balaram is his first expansion. Like Radharani came from his left hand, Balaram came from his right hand. Even Balaram he puts under illusion. That's how powerful Krishna is. So he says all of them knows, and then Bhakta Prarabdha Vidvamsam. That's the third quality he says. Normally when we have a karma which is manifested, it's known as Prarabdha karma. Aprarabdha means we sowed the seed of karma, it hasn't manifested yet. Prarabdha means some karmic activity we have done, the effect of that is already happening, it's already manifested. Bhakta Prarabdha Vidvamsam means Krishna can wipe out even that. You will see at the end of Gurukul, when Krishna asks Sandipani Muni, what can I give you as Diksha? Guru Dakshina, rather. At that time, Sandipani Muni asks, you can ask Guru Mata. So then they go to Guru Mata. Guru Mata says, if possible, we lost our son, you can bring. Krishna goes first deep into the ocean, kills a demon, gets a Panchajanya, Shanka, and then he goes all the way to Yamaloka. And in Yamaloka, he then retrieves the son of Sandipani Muni, brings him back. And you will see later also, when Mother Devaki, when she asks Krishna, she says, you have brought even the child of your guru who is dead. How nice it will be if you can bring back all your 6 dead brothers. Remember the 6 babies who were killed instantly as soon as they were born by the demon Kamsa. Krishna says, no problem. He goes, brings back again all the 6 sons. The 6 sons, they come. Mother Devaki, when she saw, because as soon as they were born, they were killed. She didn't even get to feed them. So remembering the plight they went through, the ordeal they went through, she immediately picks them, each one of them, and starts to feed her milk. Now because Krishna has already taken her milk is Mahaprasad. So these 6 sons, simply by coming, drinking her breast milk, they instantly get liberated and they go back to Godhead. They go back to their position. Now you may be thinking, Mother Devaki must be wondering, first they were there, they came, just now I saw and they got liberated, but she was happy, knowing and understanding that they were liberated from the curse. So this is what Krishna does to his devotees, Bhakta Prarabdha Vidvamsam. Not just karma which was about to come and hit. No, even a karma which has already hit. When the karma is in motion, when the punishment is actually going on, Krishna can actually stop. He can pull it back for his devotees. So that's what it's given here. Narada, Shiva, Kapila, they may know about Krishna, they may know about his activities, but nobody understands his intentions. They can observe the activity, but why Krishna is doing something, nobody knows. Where do we stand? So we have to go back to the previous instruction of Bhishmadeva, which is just accept it and obey. And when we give that control like that to Radha Gopinath, then we'll know we can peacefully lead our lives. Because yes, we know we don't have things in our control anyway. Now to give the control of something which you don't have anyway to Krishna, actually we'll feel bliss. And Krishna says, this is the peace formula. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram. Shuhridam sarva bhutanam nyatva mam shantim richati. This is what Krishna instructs all of us, how we can be peaceful. If we understand Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, proprietor and friend, EPF. What is it? Employee Provident Fund. Remember that, EPF. He is the enjoyer, proprietor and the friend. When we understand Krishna is the one who is completely in control of everything, then we can be peaceful. At least somebody is in our control, and that somebody is Supreme Lord. We can be peaceful. And he says, it's only because of ignorance we have been thinking that he is your friend, he is your cousin, he is your messenger, he is Yadu, he is your maternal cousin, so on and so forth. He says it's only due to ignorance. But otherwise, he, Yeshovai, Bhagavan Sakshat, Adi Narayanopuman. So, this is the position of the Supreme Lord. And then he continues to offer prayers. We can discuss the remaining section in next class. If you have any questions, you can ask now. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Okay. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Samaved Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki Jai. Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories